Over the past few years, I've become obsessed with synchronicities. I know this is going to break Carl. Just let me talk for a while. I'm going to be saying synchronicity a lot. I love you, man. You know that. I just gotta do my thing here. And so I've been keeping. Well, I stopped keeping track of them for a while. I was making notes about every time one appeared, and I would write, the time, the date, what it was in relation to, and what the thing it was synchronizing with. This lasted about a week, and then I was like, yeah, fuck this. What I was hoping to do is kind of find a commonality between them to try to figure out, if there was some kind of pattern. Because what I found with synchronicities is that when I see one and it pops out at me, I will then follow the subject of what the synchronicity is, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes it will lead me right to another one. Like I see an actor I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm just talking about this guy, and now he's in this movie. Maybe I should watch this movie. So then I'd watch the movie. I mean, I wouldn't, this is just an example. And then I watch the movie and see something else in it that would lead me to something else. And then, I'd try to follow it that way. And sometimes that would work for a while, but eventually you reach something that's too general and nebulous, and, it kind of ends. What I've noticed lately, though, is that whatever I turn my attention to seems to be creating synchronicities of its own. I forget exactly what this particular one was, but I was listening to Genesis, one of my favorite bands, and I haven't listened to them in a while because I go through these cycles with groups where, I'll just listen to a couple for a long time, and another group will come in the rotation, I'll listen to them. That's just how I do things. I don't know why. But, so when I started seeing all this Genesis stuff, we're popping up the synchronicities. So then, I was like, oh, that's weird. And then there was something else. Was it wrestling? There was something else that I was looking into. I was consuming, I guess, if you want to use that soulless word, what they call things now. But I was consuming some wrestling content, and I started seeing synchronicities there. And I started to think, what I'm focusing on, right, is creating synchronicities in whatever I happen to be focusing on. I don't know if that's what's happening, but it feels like it. Because one thing I know for certain is the volume of them and the intensity of them, meaning the more unlikely that they are, seem to be increasing quite a bit. And it happens with Nia too. She's always catching them, and then she'll come home and tell me about them. Like really weird, out of the way things that just wouldn't be possible. Like names of, she's talking about something, like some show or something completely different from a name, and then someone came in with the last name of the show she was talking about, something like that. We call them Marios because a couple of years ago, when we first started looking at them jointly, was because we started seeing Mario everywhere from the Mario Brothers, or the Super Mario games. A guy driving by in a car on the street cranking the theme music from the game. Us walking up to a busker, and as we approach them out on Kalakaua, they start playing the theme on guitar. We saw them in advertising, everywhere around here. So we just started referring to synchronicities as Marios. So she gets them all the time now too, and I noticed a lot of other people mentioning that they see these all the time too. It used to be something that would happen occasionally, but it seems like as time goes on lately, like the volume and intensity of these things are increasing. I saw this other YouTuber talking about it. He was calling them syncs. It's probably a better word. But it's probably a better word for here because I don't think Carl will come out for syncs. I don't think we're talking about the kitchen or something. But Yeah, it's almost like what I think it is. It's almost like the net is closing in. You know, this web, this mosaic of life, and all its interconnectivity is getting smaller and smaller. It's pulling into itself, as we are really all the energy here. You know, in this 3D realm here, we are all the people we see. Not all of them. You know, some of them are products of the space that we're in. Not everyone has divinity. You know, we talk about that quite a bit. But for those who do, they're probably experiencing the same thing. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. A lot more than ever before. Sorry, I'm trying to light this thing. I don't usually come over here to light it in the wind because the security guy will run out. You can't smoke over here, sir. Well, if I was a certain type of person and I was taking a crap here, you wouldn't run out and make me move. But because I'm a certain kind of person lighting a cigarette, I'm a particular individual. Yeah, it's I feel like the net is closing, or the mosaic. We're pulling ourselves back into ourselves. I don't think we're going to be here much longer. In as far as, I mean, I don't know. You can't know the day or time, obviously. You know, as they say in the big magic book. You can't know the day or the time, but I you know, there's a feeling amongst people, even, you know, normies, that we're heading into an unprecedented kind of time, you know, and you're seeing it everywhere. It's like every aspect of the world. It's like it's a circus. I mean, it's a fucking clown show. Waiting at the light here. You know the drill. Okay, good. I had people all around me right up my ass. Yeah, have you ever seen me like stop talking, or like start having trouble forming sentences and shit? It's because I'm surrounded. Plenty of room out here. It doesn't have to be that way, but you know, it's that way. It's okay. No complaining. I'm not gonna be a complaining guy. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm more sensitive to that stuff than most people. I was thinking, man, people seem to have leveled down in their awareness. Like, I always talk about people, like, not knowing what the fuck they are, what they're doing, what's going on. I mean, they're robots, right? They're barely functional. They're just here to take up space and to be part of your scene. You live in a city, there's a bunch of people around you. Hey, well, I'm in a city, you're supposed to see people. Well, they give you people to see. The realness of the people is a whole other question. But I'm just in Ross. Of course I was. And I hope you can hear me over this wood. And I'm behind this lady. I'm like, oh, you know, I thought she was retarded. I'm like, oh, this poor lady. I hope she's with someone. And then I moved to her, this other guy. I'm like, oh, he's deaf. He can't hear anything. I'm like, is there some kind of bus that pulled up here and dropped these people off? All these retarded, special needs, deaf people. And then I'm just like, looking around, I'm like, no, this is just people now. They're like this. They're completely unaware. I'm aware of everybody that comes into my fucking transom. You know, my security system can see a block away. Some people are much easier to see than others. I know who's going to be a threat by just a glance, or could possibly be a threat. I have a very good security system. But yeah, it's people have leveled down in awareness. It seems just like I don't know if this is a byproduct of the science use. It could be that, but I think it's also those, as we are going up, as our vibrational frequency is going up, the people that don't have divinity, aren't connected to God, and are just here as basically tools for the system, seems to be going down. You know, that they seem to be losing their awareness as we gain it. So I'm freaking out over there. Demon? Demon? Oh, it's that guy. I hear someone yelling instantly, like, demon, demon. I haven't caught a demon in a long time out here. Must be busy. World's going nuts. But yeah, as we are going up, it seems like those who are not players, so to speak, are going down. They're losing their ability to act more like regular people or baseline people as we go above the baseline. And I guess that would kind of make sense, right? I mean, as in a yin and yang way. It's a very new idea that I have, so I'm gonna have to work on it a little bit. I'm gonna have to workshop it. I'm gonna workshop that idea. But yeah, it feels like that's what's happening because people are like so zonked out. Like they just the way they're not aware of people around them, and like they'll just mong me. Like back there at the lights, it's like you don't need to be. I don't need to smell your breath, but they're not aware. They're not trying to be dicks. They just don't. They're just unaware. They're just losing their awareness, their ability to be sentient, their ability to act like the baseline normal person. And you still have to treat them just like you would anybody else, just like you would want to be treated. I gotta be very clear about that. I don't think less of these people. I don't think less of a tree, right? And they're kind of the same thing. Basically, they're here for the scenery. I don't wish them any ill will. I don't want to genocide anybody. You have to say this kind of stuff though, because if you start talking about how people aren't real, people start trying to act like you're the new mean Mr. Mustache. I'm not mean Mr. Mustache because he was a complete actor, a character created by the people that said he was persecuting, so that there could be a persecution to then use as a defense for the evil shit they would do for the rest of the century and beyond. Yeah, he was funded by the Bushes and the Rothschilds. He was. I mean, look at the whole idea of him is ridiculous, and his look is meant to be ridiculous. If to be convincing, right, you'd have to have like a tall blonde guy with blue eyes with a square jaw, leading this whole thing. But they didn't want that because they didn't want people to be like, wow, that looks like a good guy. So they had to get this little wormy Charlie Chaplin looking guy. It's parody. It's parody. And he was funded the whole time, money from the U.S. to play the role of this guy. And that's it. And people say, oh, Hitler escaped to Argentina. No, the guy that played him maybe went to live in Argentina. They take care of these people that work for them. And he had the bloodline. He was of the bloodline of the people that he supposedly hated. It was a complete work. The whole thing was a work. They work backwards, like all Satanists do. They figure out what they want, then they retrofit the situation, or they re-engineer the situation so that it turns out to be the result they want. This is how they do everything. And it's starting to get to a point where it's like, if you want to know the truth of this world, it's becoming very easy. Look at how something is presented to you by the system, by the world, by the screen, by the experts, by the doctors, and then flip it. And then 9 out of 10 times you're going to have the truth of that situation. That's their Achilles heel, is that they have to work like this. They have to work backwards because it's the satanic method. They have to. It's all mirrors, It all has to be backwards. It can't be straight up. So that and the fact that they have to work by numbers and their gematria, as I call it. They're slaves to this stuff because it's a spirit. There are spiritual rules here to this whole thing, and they are compelled to follow them for their bullshit magic to work. But we've been trained to believe basically everything we hear from the people around us, the people above us, the people in institutions, the teachers, the doctors, whatever. But you got to start looking at that information that's coming to you, and just as a fun exercise, even if you don't believe it, just try to flip it. Okay, then flip the situation in your mind and then try to extrapolate the results from that. Well, what if instead of a doctor trying to cure you, what if he was trying to keep you sick? Who would benefit from that? And just go in that direction. Think of the third and fourth generation effects of that. Things will start to make a lot more sense to you. And you'll be able to catch bullshit much easier. Not all the time. But if we're all looking at it, one of us is going to catch it. If I don't catch it, you guys might. And vice versa. Or as the French say, vice versa. Also, as the French say, I'm going to go take a fucking shower. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.